Welcome back, guys, to a brand new video from Harry's Transport Diaries, and today you join me in Whitby, and today we're going to be catching a Northern Class 156 all the way to Carlisle, which is the end of the journey. This journey will take just under 5 hours, and I'm pretty sure it's one of Northern's longest trips. So without further ado, let's get straight on to this Class 156. So Whitby station itself is rather small, and there isn't much going for it in terms of eateries. However, there is a co-op right outside of the station to the right hand side, so I made sure to get myself some snacks for this incredibly long journey. As you can see, there's not really a lot going on. There is a self-service ticket machine where all those people are standing, and here we are. We've got our 156 service already in the platform. I did get this service in from Middlesbrough. We've got 156 421 today, formed of 2 carriages. Not ideal for such a long journey, but let's get on board and let's have a look around. As we board our Class 156, I thought it'd make more sense to have a look around the toilet earlier in the journey before it gets a lot messy, as you can imagine. So we have a quick look around. There's me in the mirror. Nice and spacious, wheelchair accessible, and everything seemed to be working. Was quite clean in there. Always pleasurable, but this did change throughout the journey. However, it did get cleaned again at Newcastle and the bins were changed, etc. So joining me today on my journey is Cameron. Bit of an intimidating shot of him there. Aviation Shorts 94577 for anyone that wants to give him a subscription. I forgot to mention, seating is in the 2+2 configuration with a mixture of table seating, so we made sure to get a table as we depart Whitby bang on time, heading for the Cumbrian city of Carlisle. However, I will not be filming every station on this journey, as you can imagine, because we'll be here for hours. But as you can see, some of the lovely scenery already as we are pulling out of Whitby. We make our way through North Yorkshire, with our first calling point being Ruswarp, shortly after leaving Whitby, around 5 minutes after departure. One tough thing about making some of these videos on these long journeys, and especially journeys that I have never done before, is the scenery is never really justified, especially out of a train's window, which doesn't look particularly clean. However, I'm going to leave you with some of the views before we make our way up to our next station calling point. Around 13 minutes after we departed Ruswarp, we arrive at Grosmont. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you can change here for the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and I did unfortunately miss seeing a steam train, but it looked like a very nice station and something I'd like to revisit later down the line. As also, our next calling point after Grosmont was Glaisdale. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I do apologise if I do butcher some of these names. I forgot to mention earlier, but our journey today will see us taking 3 different lines, and today will be the first of the 3 lines that we'll be travelling on today, and the one we're travelling on at the moment is the Tyne Valley Line, and this runs from Whitby to Middlesbrough, and then we proceed to move on to the Durham coastline, and third and finally is the Tyne Valley Line. And I'm not sure if you just saw that level crossing behind us, but that only means one thing, and that is we are making our way into Battersby, where this service will reverse and head towards Middlesbrough. So guys, as we are departing Battersby, we are now making our way towards Nunthorpe and Middlesbrough. As I mentioned before, there is a 5-minute pathing allowance here at Battersby as the driver's got to change ends, as I mentioned. So we are then making our way down towards Nunthorpe, which we are booked to stay for 9 minutes. And it's quite cool to see, as we're approaching now, the level crossing where the driver has to give back the token signal. I thought this would be quite cool to film, as you can see the signal box on the left hand side shortly. So as the text on the screen shows, we are booked to stay here for 9 minutes, and Nunthorpe is one of 3 stations with a large pathing allowance. Battersby was the first one. Nunthorpe is the largest of the 3 with a 9-minute stop. This was to wait for another service in the other direction. And Newcastle Central is the other one with around 6 minutes, as we have to join on to another Class 156. Mention of another 156, there was one heading from Whitby, from Carlisle, as we make our way into Middlesbrough, crossing over the level crossing. For anyone that's interested, that level crossing is called the Cargo Fleet level crossing and is predominantly used for Middlesbrough match days, with a popular pedestrian route for football fans to leave the stadium and head back into the town centre itself. This is where I was staying for the previous 2 days, and it wasn't too bad. Gotta give credit, I had a nice view of the train track from my Premier Inn, which you can see on the left hand side. It was a bit of a way away as we make our approach into Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough station seems to be having a lot of major refurbishment works going on. It looks to be structural infrastructure that needs refurbishing. If anyone has any idea what they're doing at the station, it would be great to find out what they're actually doing. But Middlesbrough is served by Northern, Transpennine and occasionally LNER, and I was looking to see if I could get an LNER service from Middlesbrough. However, there was only one a day, and it was stupidly early in the morning, and we are making our way towards our next station calling point, which is Thornaby. As just previously mentioned, I had spent a couple of days in Middlesbrough, and I thought it'd be better to cover the stations that I didn't cover in other videos, otherwise people will be seeing the same things at the same time. So I did cut a few clips short, and the next station service on my recording was Billingham, as we are now on the Durham coastline heading from Middlesbrough to Newcastle, roughly around 63.5 kilometres or a 39-mile journey. So yeah, now we get to see the northern seaside towns that I personally have never seen before. I'm sure a lot of you guys have either watched other videos regarding these seaside towns or been there personally yourself. I know I quite like watching these videos from other people, seeing journeys that I've never personally taken to see what the view's like, or on the other hand, I'm just seeing local scenery that I do know what it looks like, and I like watching those sorts of videos. So let me know in the comment section down below, have you visited places like Hartlepool that we're approaching now, and Sunderland and Newcastle before? So 2 hours and 10 minutes after leaving Whitby, we arrive into Hartlepool at 3 p.m. and I'd sort of say this was the halfway point of the journey, with roughly about 2.5 hours to go until we get into Carlisle. And I was really looking forward to this stretch of track in front of us, calling at Sunderland, a place that I'd never been, and Newcastle Central, just to see, as there was LNER diverts on at the time of recording, to see what other stuff we could see at the station, obviously with most services terminating and going via Carlisle. So yeah, as we depart Hartlepool, we make our way up towards Sunderland, and on the right hand side of the train we did get our first look at the sea. However, this train was rather busy, so I didn't want to forget anyone else in the recording. Just shy of half an hour after leaving Hartlepool, we do make our way into Sunderland, a station that I've never visited before and not likely to visit again for a while, unless I was travelling with Grand Central. And wasn't really much to see here, to be honest. Not a station I particularly enjoyed seeing. However, as we leave the station itself, we do get our first glimpse of the Stadium of Light for any football fans out there. Home of Sunderland, obviously. What I did enjoy about this section of line between Sunderland and Newcastle was that you run alongside the Tyne and Wear Metro, and it is just quite a cool thing to see. I know if you're local to the area, you're probably sick of seeing them, but I just thought it was quite cool and a nice little switch up in variety on the line itself. Our only calling point between Sunderland and Newcastle was Heworth. I'd imagine that's how, I probably ruined how you say that, but after we leave Heworth, we are making our way into the city of Newcastle, where we're winding around and coming to the back end of Newcastle Central. And we were held outside Newcastle for approximately 6 minutes because we were 6 minutes early. So I'll leave you with some of the incredible views, and we do also see a Network Rail HST, which was a bonus. Just before we cross the water, I do just want to say, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why I'm sat on this side of the train and not the other side to get the better views of Newcastle city centre. However, the other side of the train was so busy with people getting photos of the city itself, I just could not get over there in time. And I thought I'll be seeing the other side of the city as we depart for Carlisle, but the views were not as good, so do apologise.
The next station stop is Newcastle. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please retain all tickets, as you may need them to exit the station.
There is coming back here. Oh, that looks like the map isn't there. It's just the staff though, it's all nonsense, isn't it?
Well, on the quayside.
We finally arrive into Newcastle at 15:49 as we are joined by a cross-country Voyager and a LNER Azuma service which was bound for London King's Cross. And as I mentioned before, there is a pathing allowance here so we could join on to another service which was from Newcastle Metro Centre. However, we were also delayed as we had to wait for a diverted LNER Azuma to head up to Edinburgh before us, which made us delayed for around, I think it was 6 or 7 minutes. As we weave out of Newcastle, there's that Network Rail HST that I was on about, formed of a ex-LNER power car and also a ex-cross-country power car. With the departure from Newcastle, we are on our third and final line of the journey, which is the Tyne Valley Line, and this is a 58-mile stretch of track between Newcastle and Carlisle, or sorry, 93 kilometres for those who don't use miles, and the final stretch of our journey which links Newcastle, Hexham and Carlisle with one another. I have to say I was really impressed with the scenery on this journey as a whole, but this last journey on the Tyne Valley Line was my favourite by a complete mile. I'm not sure what it was. The station's really small and quaint, and some of the river flowing through the valley, which was on the other side, was incredible. It was just my favourite part of the journey as a whole. So as you can see with the text on the screen, our next station calling point was Willem at 16:26. I think that's how you say that correctly. And as you can see from my point before, the views from behind the station are just incredible of the Greenland. And the train did quieten massively as we arrived into Newcastle, as you can see. And some of the green, stunning scenery out of the other side window. So as we depart Riding Mill, our next station will be Hexham, and this is where the last of the majority of passengers got off. And to be fair, the majority of the people that stayed on went all the way to Carlisle. So we departed Hexham at 16:48, and we were still running 9 minutes late as we continued towards Carlisle. There was roughly about 50 minutes left of our journey as we departed Hexham. Just before 5 p.m. we do arrive into Hayden Bridge, and this is where we were met by a diverted LNER Azuma service from Edinburgh to London King's Cross, going in the other direction. And I tell you what, I'd love to be stood on the platform seeing these diverted services go through, well, I guess it's Northumberland, as it just looks stunning there, as you can see on the other side. There's Cameron. And we depart Hayden Bridge, still running 9 minutes late. We are shortly on the approach into Wetherall, which was my favourite station calling point on this entire journey. As you can see, down to our left, this incredible viaduct was just stunning. And Wetherall was our penultimate station on this service before we arrived into Carlisle. And I can tell you it was getting a bit long and it dragged at this point in time. However, we still got a short amount of time to go. So guys, I just wanted to give a quick thank you for if you have made it to this point in the video. I very much appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think on the journey? Have you completed any parts of this journey? And would you be able to handle over 5 hours on a Northern Class 156? Which ended up being with the 11-minute delay. We are finally arriving into the Cumbrian city of Carlisle, which is served by TransPennine, Avanti West Coast, and a couple of other operators, including Northern and ScotRail, with the addition of LNER this weekend. And this is where I'll be spending the night before I make my way down to Shrewsbury tomorrow, on board a Avanti Class 390 Pendolino, and also a Transport for Wales, hoping it will be the DVT set. And that will be next week's video from the Avanti. So all I can say, guys, is please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm trying to get better with this commentary stuff. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.